Hi HipKit friends, it's Sarah Millerhouse here, and I am scrap lifting myself today. This is the original layout that I made in July of 2021, well before I was on the design team, and I was loving all of those products. So all the way for lots and lots of years, I've been ordering HipKit Club kits. So I am using the March kits for this layout. And the product focus for today is patterned paper. So this entire layout, almost the entire layout, with the exception of maybe the title, is all made from patterned paper. And then of course the mixed media, but all of the elements on top of the paper are made from patterned paper. So I took patterned papers from the main kit, and then also papers from the cardstock, the essential cardstock kit. And I made a rainbow of color, so a spectrum of color from the patterned papers. And then I cut triangles just like I had done in my original layout. And I free cut those. You could see I was just eyeballing it and free cutting those triangles, and then I distressed the edges of each of the triangles. So what I did is I laid that out where I thought that those would go, and then kind of wrote, you could see I traced just the one edge, like the outer edge of where it was going to stop, and then I wrote the name of the color. So now I'm going and using all kinds of products from my HipKit color kit stash to add color behind that pattern paper. So these are all mediums, mostly shimmers, and then all of the beautiful inks that have been in the Catherine Pooler inks that have been in the color kits the last couple of months. So I basically pulled everything out to try to match the colors of the patterned papers as close as possible. And all of that mixed media, really, it's gonna look like a lot on the background, but really it's just poking around the edge. Once you see the finished layout, it's just gonna be poking out on the outer edge of those triangles of color. So you will see, you're not gonna watch me do every triangle of color because it did take me a while, but I am gonna do a little bit of color blending to try to get the right shades, the right colors, and try to match that paper as close as possible. On my original layout, you could see that the mixed media that was poking out behind was very closely matched to the colors of the patterned paper. So I'm really trying to, mimic that original layout as much as possible. And it's kind of fun to scrap lift yourself, because as I was doing it, I was thinking, okay, what did I do here? How did I do that? And luckily it was really easy because I pulled my original layout out of my album and had it in front of me while I was creating. So that made it really a lot easier than trying to do something from a small picture on a screen. So it was fun. So I did not have that green that's on the patterned paper from the main kit. I think it's the B side of one of the papers from the main kit. That is a beautiful kind of olivey green, and I didn't have anything close to that in the color kit stash. The inks, the Catherine Pooler inks, there was one that I thought was going to be pretty close. It looked pretty close when I kind of blotted it out, but then it was a lot more transparent when I tried to put it on the background. So I ended up having to do lots of color blending, which was super fun. I love to do that, and it really helps all of your, all of those mediums and things you get in color kits. It helps them go a long way when you blend the colors together and match them to new patterned papers and new kits. It makes it fun to play around with those. So here what I did is I put some white acrylic paint, you see off to the left there, on my craft mat, and then added some water, and I did some splatters of that while all of those mediums were dry. So that helped kind of blend and give me variations in color on those mediums. And that is what I had done on the original layout as well. So what I'm going to do here, just to start the layering process, is I'm going to go and add the main triangular ray that main piece for each color. I'm going to glue one down. So there it is, that I have one glued down in each color. And then I'm going to go back and start adding on multiple layers. I only cut 3 triangles of each color, and then decided if I needed more, I would go back and cut more, but I didn't need any more. So I used either 2 or 3 of each of the colors. 2 or 3 pieces. Many of them I used 3. But like that peachy corally color that's in between the pink and the orange, I just used 2 of those. And then this yellow, I love that pattern paper from the main kit. Okay, so there, now I have my rays of color, almost like a kind of an abstract color wheel, sort of, a half of a color wheel with a full spectrum. I don't know. I thought it was fun on the original layout, and I had fun making it again. So this was the first time I had ever, scrap lifted myself. So it was a unique challenge. And here, now that I have the papers down, I could see like that kind of turquoisey blue, or the aqua blue the color was just a little bit off, so I wanted to fix that. I'm a little bit OCD about my colors being right, so I wanted to make sure that I got the right tone. So see that ink right there that I just blotted off to the left, it looks like when you blot it down, it looks like it's the exact right color, but then when you add water and kind of put it on, it was a little more, almost like a little more neon. So I did pull out a liquid ink from my stash, 1 drop of that to give me the right olive color. But everything else is from past color kits, current or past color kits. Okay, so now that I've got that done, on my original layout, I had used a scrapbook.com stencil that I had just gotten like as a free gift from a drawing that I won. So on this one, this is a Hip Kit stencil. It's beautiful. It's like a big floral pattern. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I had done a rainbow of color on the original layout with the stencil. So I did the same thing here. So I used all of the Catherine Pooler inks. So there was the final look for that. Most of it's going to be covered up, so it's not real impactful on the final layout, because I am going to switch up the design just a little bit. When I was scrap lifting myself, I did change up the design a little bit. So far, it's pretty close to the original, but I'm about to go rogue here in a few seconds. Okay, so here I'm just adding some splatters of white acrylic paint. I had done that on the original layout as well. So it's just white acrylic paint and water is all I did here. All right, and I'm going to be using the same patterned papers that I cut triangles from to mat my photo. So I am going to end up doing 3 mats. So I matched the exact same colors from that original layout. So I did pink, then yellow, and then I don't know if I caught the orange on camera, but there also is an orange layer. So here is where I went rogue. So the original layout did not have any flowers, but there were so many beautiful flowers in this main kit, so many beautiful floral patterned papers that I couldn't not fussy cut them and use them. So here we are. So the photo is going to have the same placement as the original layout, and then that's pretty much it. So, okay, this patterned paper, I love this patterned paper. Thank goodness I do have another sheet of it, because I am going to use it more like it was printed. But I fussy cut out that whole little floral spray, and then this was a 3rd patterned paper from the main kit that had flowers on it. So I did lots of fussy cutting to create this layout. Here, just like in the original photo, I had several layers of patterned paper kind of off to the left of the photo so that stencil was just peeking out Here I'm only going to do one. I think I only do one layer. No, maybe two. I think I end up with 2 layers of patterned paper off to the left of the photo. So I'm going to have that one, and then the butterfly. There's a butterfly patterned paper in the main kit. And I'm going to cut just one little piece of that. So that's a little trick when you're layering paper. You don't have to have the whole layer back behind. You can cut just a little sliver of it and layer it behind, and it looks like you have full layers back there. But you save a bunch of paper by not having the full layer back there. Okay, so there's that spray of flowers that I fussy cut from the patterned paper. And then those were from another patterned paper. And now I'm kind of deciding how I'm going to layer them up. It's going to end up being top left and bottom right of the photo. That's how those are going to go, how the flowers are going to go. And I am bending up all of the leaves and curling up the flower petals. And then I'm going to put craft foam behind so that it's layered up. And that sweet photo is a picture of my sweet baby girl from the Easter egg hunt at her preschool last week. I am not caught up. I am not up to date on photos. I skipped a whole lot of years of photos that I need to go back. I will someday go back and scrapbook lots of birthdays and holidays and all kinds of things that I skipped. But I just decided I needed to let go of doing everything in chronological order and just scrapbook the things that are happening right now, so that when I journal and do all of that I remember all of the details. So it's like personality transplant happened and I let go of the chronological scrapping. Okay, so here I am layering up some flowers. I have different kinds of craft foam because I wanted different thicknesses and different levels of flowers. And anytime I'm using craft foam, I always add glue also, because I have found that when I go back later in my albums and things, sometimes things fall off. So if I just use the original adhesive, so I always add a little extra touch. I was thinking about adding some black and white flowers from one of the patterned papers in the main kit, but I ended up not using those on this layout. Here I'm layering up some leaves. And then I'm going to also be using a beautiful little spray of leaves. Oh, here, what I did is I added some water. I thought the stenciling, the ink that I had added was a little too vivid, a little more vivid than perhaps the pattern paper that was off to the right. So I did add some water because those Catherine Pooler inks are water soluble. Even though I had already inked those like the night before, when I went back, it easily lifted a bunch of that color off, which was awesome. So you saw there I was using the die, one of the metal dies from March that I absolutely love. There's a whole bunch of leaves in there, and I loved that little, I don't even know what you would call it. I love the pattern of the little collection of leaves that have little balls on them. So I did a blue one, and then I'm also going to be adding in an orange one here, right here. I used that same die, metal die, and then cut it out of the orange patterned paper to help finish off my cluster. So some of those elements that I had fussy cut were very tiny and delicate, so I added a little craft foam just to kind of help them have a place to lay. Okay, so this is the things that I'm adding right now are the only things on this layout that are not from patterned paper. So so far, that whole spray of color behind my photos, the mats, and then all of the flowers and the die cut elements were from the patterned paper in the main kit and the cardstock kit. So these are Simple Stories flowers that I cut. it's a sticker. Sorry, it's a sticker that I added to a piece of just white cardstock and then cut around so that I could lift it up and add it where I wanted it. Okay, and I think that sticker says the best day. And this is where I had the title on the original layout. So that is kind of a very similar placement to the original layout. And then here I'm also going to use one more sticker to write Egg Hunt and the date. Or LPS, that's the name of her, that's the abbreviation for the name of her school. LPS Egg Hunt. And there, I'm adding that in. And then here are some still photos. I did go back off camera and add just a few little Nuvo drops from one of the color kits and some little pops of color from my stash, and everything else you saw me do. So I hope you enjoyed this process. Scrap lifting myself was fun, and we post new videos every day. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the process. There's lots of talented creators, and you can tap the bell for notifications of new videos. Bye guys.